I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. You know, a minus 31 free throw discrepancy. And I might be able to understand it if we were just chucking threes, but we're not. We're attacking the rim. And the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. So it's disappointing, you know, that it doesn't go both ways, or it hasn't gone both ways. But we also can't allow that to consume us, right? Like, we've got to be able to play through that. We've got to be able to control the things that we can control.
That was Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White. And her frustration is the fuse that lit the fire. But the explosion didn't happen in a press conference. It happened online with a 6-word post and a $200 receipt. For weeks, the narrative has been about controversial calls and lopsided games. But today, we're going to connect the dots and show you the real story behind the story. This isn't just about bad officiating anymore. This is a calculated, player-led rebellion fought with social media posts and defiant fines, designed to expose the WNBA's dirtiest secret. We're going to break down how Caitlin Clark and her allies have turned the league's own rulebook into a weapon and are risking their paychecks to wage a public war the commissioner cannot win. This is the kind of deep dive investigation we live for here. So if you believe in filtering out the noise to get to the truth, do me a solid and smash that like button. It's a massive signal that tells us to keep digging. All right, let's start with the shot that officially started this war. It didn't happen on the court, it happened on a screen. Following a contentious playoff win, Caitlin Clark made a post that seemed simple enough, celebrating her team's victory with the caption, "Refs couldn't stop us." To the casual fan, it's just trash talk, but to the league office, it was a declaration of war, and their response was swift to fine. But what they thought was a punishment, Clark turned into a public relations masterstroke. She didn't just accept the penalty, she confirmed it, proudly admitting she got fined $200 for this LOL. Let's be very clear, the LOL wasn't a joke, it was a taunt. With that one small post, Clark transformed a minor disciplinary action into a viral headline. She wasn't complaining about a fine, she was advertising it. She effectively paid $200 for millions of dollars worth of media attention focused directly on the issue of referee corruption. It was a calculated act of defiance. She wasn't the victim of a fine, she was the architect of a narrative. And she had just forced the entire world to pay attention. But she wasn't fighting this battle alone. Okay, for all the narrative analysts watching, many of you have already been connecting these dots on TikTok and X for weeks, and you were on to something huge. Clark's defiant post wasn't an isolated incident. It was the signal flare, and her teammates were ready. The most prominent example is veteran guard Sophie Cunningham. After a crucial Game 4 win against the Assisa game, where the whistle finally seemed to swing in Indiana's favor, a fan posted a comment celebrating the fair officiating. Cunningham jumped right into the conversation, replying with a now infamous comment, "And it's about damn time." The league's reaction was predictable. Just like with Clark, they hit Cunningham with a fine for publicly criticizing the referees. But again, they completely missed the point. The fine wasn't a deterrent, it was validation. It was another receipt that the players could wave in the court of public opinion. Now you have two respected players on the same team, in the middle of a high-stakes playoff series, both choosing to openly defy the league and pay a financial penalty to do so. When you filter out the noise, you realize this is no longer about individual frustration, this is a coordinated campaign. One player uses sarcasm and a LOL to highlight the absurdity of the situation, while another uses blunt, direct language to confirm the fan base's deepest suspicions. They were creating a surround sound effect, hitting the league from multiple angles and ensuring the conversation about biased officiating couldn't be dismissed as a single emotional outburst. They were building a public file of evidence, one fine at a time. And the next piece of evidence would come directly from their own head coach. To understand why Clark and Cunningham were willing to open their wallets to call out the refs, you have to look at the on-court injustice that pushed them to the breaking point. This social media war is a direct consequence of the officiating circus during their semifinal series against the Las Vegas Aces. Their own coach, Stephanie White, laid the groundwork for their rebellion in one of the most blistering post-game press conferences of the year. Egregious, that's the word she used, and she backed it up with facts, citing a staggering -31 free throw discrepancy over the series. The team was attacking the rim, getting hammered, and receiving nothing but silence from the officials. The disrespect reached its peak in a now infamous moment in Game 3. With the Fever holding a lead, Aaliyah Boston was hit with a phantom foul. Coach White immediately signaled for a challenge, but the officials flat out ignored her. They just let the play continue, and seconds later, the Aces drained a three-pointer, completely hijacking the game's momentum. This wasn't just a missed call, it was a public display of dismissiveness. The league and its referees sent a clear message to the Fever: that night you don't matter. The rules don't apply equally to you. When your coach is ignored on the sideline and your players are getting mauled on the court with no protection, what options do you have left? You take the fight somewhere else. You take it to the court of public opinion, where the refs have no whistle and the league has no control. This fight didn't start in the 2025 semifinals. The social media rebellion we're seeing now is simply the next phase of a conflict that's been simmering for years. The deep search file confirms that Coach Stephanie White has a history of being disciplined by the league for speaking out against officiating, particularly when it comes to the physical abuse Caitlin Clark endures on the court night after night. She has paid her share of fines trying to protect her players through the proper channels, but the message from the league has been consistent: sit down and be quiet, and she's not alone. Even her rival coach, Becky Hammon, has been fined for her own commentary about the referees this postseason. When multiple coaches from opposing teams are both getting punished for saying the same thing, that the officiating is inconsistent and damaging the game, you know the problem is real. This isn't just one coach's sour grapes, it's a systemic failure. Think about the hypocrisy here. The WNBA is riding a tidal wave of unprecedented growth, smashing ratings and attendance records, all on the back of the Caitlin Clark effect. They are happy to market her, sell her jersey, and use her image to secure massive media deals. Yet, when it comes to protecting their number one asset from being consistently hammered on the court, they've been largely silent. The coaches have tried to sound the alarm, but their protests have been silenced with fines. So, with their leaders' voices muffled by the league office, the players decided it was their turn to speak up, in a language the league couldn't so easily control. And this is where the league's strategy, if you can even call it that, completely falls apart. Their only tool to combat this growing player rebellion is the fine book. But a $200 fine to a superstar like Caitlin Clark isn't a punishment, it's a rounding error. The WNBA is trying to fight a modern media war with ancient weapons, and they are losing badly. Every fine they issue is another log on the fire, another piece of evidence for the players to use against them. The problem starts at the very top. According to the Players Association Vice President, Nafisa Collier, Commissioner Kathy Engelbert's attitude towards the officiating crisis has been completely dismissive. Collier reported that the commissioner insisted that only losers complain about the refs. Let that sink in. The leader of the league is reportedly telling players that their legitimate concerns about the integrity of the game are just sour grapes. With that kind of dismissiveness coming from the league office, is it any wonder that players have decided to take their case to a higher court? When the system designed to protect you is actively ignoring you, you have no choice but to bypass the system entirely. The league thinks they are punishing players for speaking out. What they're actually doing is confirming to millions of fans that the players are right, that the system is broken, and that the only way to get the truth out is to force it out. And the players have found the perfect weapon to do just that. That weapon, it of course, is social media. What the league office fails to grasp is that the game has fundamentally changed. The power no longer resides solely with broadcast partners and official league statements. Power now belongs to anyone who can command attention, and no one in the WNBA commands more attention than Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. They have brought millions of new, highly engaged fans to the sport, and those fans live on platforms like TikTok, X, and Instagram. This is the battleground the players have chosen, and it's one where the league is hopelessly outmatched. Clark, Cunningham, and their allies are bypassing the traditional media gatekeepers entirely. They don't need to hope a journalist asks the right question in a press conference. They can clip a video of a missed call, post it directly to their millions of followers, and add their own commentary. They control the narrative in a way that was impossible just a few years ago. Many of you watching are part of this new ecosystem. You've seen the viral clips of the ignored challenge or the phantom fouls that get endlessly debated on Reddit. The players understand that this direct line to the fans is their ultimate leverage. They can build a mountain of public outrage that the league simply cannot ignore. It's a masterclass in modern media warfare, turning their own platforms into a populist court that holds the league accountable. And they are using this new power to fight for the one thing that will truly change the game. And that one thing is the new collective bargaining agreement. Okay, let's connect the final dots, because this is the end game. The current CBA is expiring, and a new one is being negotiated right now, behind closed doors. According to our research, the issue of officiating has become a major point of contention in these talks, with players demanding greater accountability to protect both their safety and the integrity of the game. Every post, every fine, every viral clip of a missed call is a piece of leverage. Clark, Cunningham, and their allies are not just venting, they are strategically building a mountain of public pressure to bring to the negotiating table. They are creating a mandate for change that the league cannot ignore without alienating its massive new fan base. That $200 fine wasn't a penalty. It was an investment in a safer, fairer, and more accountable league for every player. So what's your take on all this? Was this social media campaign a brilliant strategy to force change, or a reckless move that disrespects the league? Let us know your verdict in the comments below, masterstroke or reckless move. This story is far from over, and we are tracking every development in the CB negotiations and this ongoing media war. To make sure you don't miss the next chapter, subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell. Finally, if you know another fan who only sees the drama on the court, share this video. They need to understand the real war being fought behind the scenes.